What up, everybody? Welcome to Wheel Talks. I'm Marty O'Connor, and this is my boy,
Sonny Casebound.
The show doesn't work out. Anyways. What's up, Wheel World? We are back at it again. I'm super excited this week.
I'm pumped.
Yeah, I've been chewing on this one for a while. We got a brand new series coming at you guys called From Sucks Ass to Success. And, we're super excited about it because in our situations, you lose hope and you find yourself in a new body, a new situation, a new circumstance, and you don't think that a career is possible anymore. Well, we're here to tell you and show you, from that we're living proof that that's not the case.
Yeah, because, bottom line is our situations sucks major ass.
Yeah.
But through our struggles and stuff, we've found, little tidbits and things that we'd love to share with you guys today.
Yeah, so we got a plan for you guys. We're going to lay it all out there for you. But you know what? At first, I think we should just talk about, what are you missing right now, man? What do you miss the most?
Besides just being more social, it's my gym time.
Yeah.
I haven't really been able to. I just kind of went back to swimming and stuff, but, I really miss standing.
Yeah, for sure. So let me tell you about that. So
Yeah.
I've been having a lot of meetings recently, most of them Zoom, but some in person. And at the end of the meeting, when people just stand up and shake their hands,
Yeah.
it's a little hard for me,
A little awkward, right?
Yeah, it's a hard situation. I wish it was easier.
To stand.
To stand.
Easy.
Stand.
Easy.
Stand, baby. So thank you so much to our sponsor, Easy Stand, for making all things possible at Wheel Talks. Some of the cool things that we can talk about with the Easy Stand, speaking of the gym time we're missing.
Right.
I know specifically when I was at the gym, I would use an Easy Stand. You can even take off that front tray, and I would elevate it about halfway.
Yeah.
So I'm in a half squat position.
Right.
And then I could do squats. I could do assisted squats, standing up, building my strength in my legs, building my core and my balance.
Yeah.
And I really do miss that. It's been months that we haven't been in the gym. It's pretty critical for us. So hopefully California gets their act together.
Yeah, I noticed a huge difference too in your trunk control. I remember before I had to kind of assist you, help you kind of push forward to get a little bit of a pressure release.
Yeah.
And after you've been using the Easy Stand, I've noticed you're just able to kind of do that on your own now, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I try and rely on less and less,
Yeah.
I don't need the hip guiders as much, And I try and just hold myself in one centered place instead of relying on the backrest or leaning forward. It's been really helpful, man. So anyone struggling with those things out there, look into Easy Stand. That will definitely get you assisted.
Absolutely.
So without further ado, from sucks ass to success. Sonny, tell me a little bit about your journey from when you got hurt, maybe what you were doing before, to what you're doing now, and kind of how you found yourself professionally.
Well, before I got hurt, I was kind of, a jack of all trades.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't like school, so I wasn't really.
And a jackass. But
yeah.
That's all good.
Yeah.
We're two peas in a pod
I am a donkey's ass, 100%. But I was kind of a jack of all trades. I think I was really trying to find out what I was really passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had quite a few jobs. But when I was actually, just before I got hurt, I'd gone back to school to learn more about drafting and design.
Nice.
I wanted to get into architecture, learn how to read building plans, kind of get more of the foreman, because I realized one day my body was going to give out. We just all get old, right?
Yeah.
I was about 8 months into it. I was really enjoying it. I was learning how to draw, which I'm not a great drawer. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, life changed.
Yeah.
And from that point, I felt, my focus was more on my body, my mental health, and kind of getting back. But as I felt more stable in those situations, I started looking for opportunities that presented themselves. And one of the first opportunities I had was at the Goodwill Fitness Center.
Yep.
I was a little check-in guy there, which, was cool. For me, it was more of a challenge to see if I could handle waking up and going to work for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
And how I would do in those kind of situations, which I was pretty good at.
Which I think was an easy fit for you because you have so much personality.
Right.
You always bring a good vibe. And I think that's something that's really important for people coming into a gym or coming into a facility. It's you don't know what their day was like before that.
Yeah.
And if you can put just even a little semblance of a smile on their face, that's a big deal.
Plus, all my buddies were there.
Yeah,
I get to see you all the time, and I felt super comfortable. So it was a cool transition for me to kind of get back into the swing of working again. And from there, it's kind of been a smorgasbord of opportunities. From speaking engagements to little commercial work, which I just saw a Blue Shield commercial come up on TV
Amazing.
when I was watching the Dodger game the other day, which was pretty cool.
Whatever, dude. Get that jersey out.
So what I've realized though is the more I put myself out there and pursue passions, it's not always what I thought it would be, but it's actually sometimes even better.
For sure.
What was your journey like?
Yeah, man. So before I got hurt, I was kicking ass in sales. You know,
Okay.
I was always on the go, driving up and down the coast.
Sales of what? Like what was your...
So I was in the packaging industry. So
Okay.
think bottles. I mean, open any cabinet in your house. I mean, in your fridge, you got so many containers of condiments and food. And then, in your bathroom, you got pill containers, you got shampoo, all that.
Right.
Pretty much, it's a huge industry.
So mass production?
Yeah, so we're the distributor. So someone comes to us that has a wide line and needs like 10 different varieties of, bottles and, or tops and labels and all that.
Okay.
I'd help source it for them. I'd be the middleman. I'd negotiate everything. And I was loving it. I was going between LA, Orange County, San Diego, Riverside, literally driving all over the place. And I got some international experience going abroad to China, Taiwan, Mexico City, and it was really cool. And then, one hot summer day, all that changed. And that on the go running around, ability I had got taken away from me. And the one thing I never lost was my drive.
Right.
And so I really just applied that to the gym for a while because I didn't even think like professionally. I didn't think my career. It's like getting my body back to be able to do what I was doing before.
I mean, you were 24?
Yeah, 24. And so it was always about like thinking about what I was doing before, not thinking about what lay ahead of me, right? If that were to change, like if that was not going to be the same thing, I just couldn't fathom it because I was always in denial. And it took me a while to really go through and figure out what I was made of and what I wanted to do. And, I had to find my way and say like, what the hell am I good at? Right. And what do I want to do? This already sucks. Mm-hmm. Right. So like, if I'm going to go back to work, it's got to be worth it for me. And, what's the path to getting there?
Let me ask you a question. How physical was that job? And was there ever a part of you that thought, I can always go back?
I always thought, I kind of was not playing cat and mouse. That may not be the right analogy, but, being in constant communication with my bosses, like, I'll be back in a month. Like, I got this, and it was like, it just wasn't going to happen. Like, I had to be driving all the time and we'd have to do inventory. I had to be carrying packages in and out, and it just...
Was there another position at that job you think that, or were you just like, because for me, my passion shifted. Mm-hmm. I could have went back and finished what I was doing with the drafting and designing, but my passion just wasn't there for it anymore.
Yeah. I think it'd have to be more on the administrative side, but then that involves a whole lot of computer work.
Yeah.
And me not being familiar with any sort of adaptive technology, not to mention like, the demand that we had to, be running orders, putting things through, getting copies. It's like I would still need help at that.
Yeah.
So I really like was just lost. I'm like, all right, I've been killing the sales game for a few years now, but like now what the heck am I going to do, right? And that's where I think I started, trying to find my way and be like, all right, who am I? What am I made of? And what, potential is there professionally for me? And I think that's what we wanted to talk to all of you guys about today, is if you find yourself in that similar position, questioning what the heck am I capable of? Like these circumstances don't allow me to do what I want to do. You got to find out what you're made of, and there is potential out there. There's something that every one of us can do. Even if it's putting a smile on someone's face, brightening their day, there's something out there for everybody. And so we wanted to take you through the steps that we found that really benefited us. And we want to break those down for you. And a little easy thing to remember is apply yourself. APPLY.
What do they call it? Acronym?
An acronym. There you go, man.
Wow,
I couldn't think of the word, so I had to throw it out there
it is.
another way. But absolutely, man. We, the first thing in apply is assess. You have to assess yourself and the potential.
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit, Sonny, about like assessing your circumstance and, maybe like okay, what am I capable of? Like, how did that work for you?
Well, I think off the start, what we always preached, and I know this always comes up in a lot of our topics, is the fact that we're very real with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, okay, well, and I'm not talking about beat yourself up, but be real. You know, I'm really good at this, and I think that's where we jive.
Yeah.
Is the fact that we're salesmen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We could sell ice to an Eskimo.
Right.
You know what I mean? Ketchup to a lady in a white dress.
Yeah.
I think that's us, right? So you really got to look at, like, is your mouthpiece good? When I mean mouthpiece, are you good at speaking to people? You know what I mean? Are you good at, keeping tasks together? Whatever your strengths are, though, I mean, it's something that people repeatedly tell you all the time, too. Like, oh, you should really do this or that.
Yeah. It's
something you're frequently complimented on, and that's kind of where you start and then kind of bridge from.
Yeah, and one thing that really helped me with this, before I got into sales, I had to take this assessment. It's put on by Gallup, and it's called the Strengths Finder.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's all about, they had a ton of research that showed people that capitalized their strengths instead of trying to build on their weaknesses professionally. Those are the people, that excelled.
That makes sense.
So you go through a whole gamut of questions, and it really shows you these are my key strengths. I'd probably say 30, 45 minutes.
It's not bad.
Pretty good, but it really gets in depth and really, I mean, it gets down to your core and figures out who you are.
Interesting.
And the funny thing is, I did this before I got hurt, and I had 3 top strengths, and then I got.
One of them wasn't walking.
It definitely was not. That's a knee slapper. I can't even slap my knee. That's depressing. Anyways, and then I took it again.
What was your 3 strengths the first time?
Man, competitive.
Okay.
Focused.
Spot on.
And strategic.
Okay. I
Man,
agree.
You're gonna put me on the spot now.
I agree.
And that may have been afterwards, but competitive will always be there.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's always been in my blood.
Yeah.
And I took it again afterwards, and it had completely changed. And the funny thing is like our mindsets change, our perspectives change when our situations change. And let us tell you, this assessment did not take place in the first year, not even 2 years for me. So like if you just got hurt, your circumstance just changed, don't feel like you need to start figuring it all out. You got to figure yourself out first. And take a look at our last episodes about investing in yourself. That's something that'll really help you out with this process. And when you feel like you're in a good spot, for us, I mean, we need to get our routines together.
Yeah.
We need to be in a good place to where you feel like you could take on something else. If you're at your limit, slow your roll, get it figured out, and just remain patient. But yeah, man, I found out that I was almost a whole new cat, that I had a new mindset and had these things that I could now capitalize on that I couldn't before, because I had changed. I had grown up. I had, I was in different relationships. I was in different circumstances, and I was hungry for new things.
Yeah.
And it changed everything. So I really suggest taking that Gallup Strengths Finder.
Yeah, that's interesting.
If you can look it up. I'm sure there's a number of others as well, but that's something that really helped me, especially in assessing myself. And then finding, what am I passionate about? That was the other challenge. Tell us about trying to find your passions now after you got hurt.
So our journeys are similar in the fact that some of my jobs I held before my accident were sales jobs, or supervising type jobs, where running crews, being social, being active.
Yeah.
But I knew after I got hurt, though, my strength is still my voice, because I'm passionate and I have no fear when it comes to getting in front of people.
Yeah.
So I thought there might be an avenue now there because of our story. As long as I continue to rehab and continue to build that, people are always going to want to hear what I've been through. Because in our demographic, there's a strong number of people who get hurt or have disabilities who kind of quit or go to depression or go down the wrong road, where we're actually the exception to the norm, where we're trying to fight and improve and work on ourselves.
Even then, those things are natural. It's a battle no matter what. But yeah, I hear you.
So my passion was speaking kind of started, and then a friend of mine who owns a gym, we got into back into contact with each other. And at the time, I was coming off a hand surgery to help my grip out. And she was like, I'd love to help you get back in the gym, get back in the swing of things. And from that, it kind of formulated into me showing some of my workout videos and We would sit together every week or two and just kind of brainstorm what is
Yeah.
available and kind of strategize. But through that, it led to a lot more opportunities. And I think you kind of touched on this. You're going to evolve.
Yeah.
The one thing I will tell you is that you will all constantly be changing. But if you start to pursue things as you change, those doors will open,
Right.
Because up until that point, we're talking like 4 years in,
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of sitting on the sidelines,
Yeah.
and I was kind of in this holding, waiting period until that point.
Mm-hmm. One thing too that I think is a major contributor to getting to this point of assessment and change and like really looking forward is in our situations we've talked about a number of times, but how our circles dwindle
Yeah.
to kind of a core group of people that are actually your biggest supporters and the
Right.
people that are really looking out for you. So I think with that being said, after a while, I was surrounded by good people who always had my best interest and wanted the best for
Right.
me. And were always looking out, trying to help me and trying to help me move forward. So that's another thing to consider too, is when, you got to assess who you're with and, what are they doing to, benefit your life. Not that you're trying to be opportunistic in any way, but, it's got to be mutual. They got to be having your best interest at heart. So find the people and surround yourself by the ones who are going to really genuinely care for you and help you move forward. So for me, I had that benefit. And now I was like, okay, I'm hungry for more. I can keep grinding at, the workouts and the physical aspect,
Right.
but I know intellectually I need more. I want more. And there's people here that are willing to help.
Interesting point though. And we had a conversation about this the other day. And we were both talking about this because of where we went to high school at and the expectations that were put on us.
Yep.
One thing that we were always echoed when we were kids that we were stubborn about was we are as good as who we surround ourselves with.
Yeah.
And we would fight that.
Right.
Because a lot of times the guys we want to, joke around with weren't exactly the most quality of guys.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have coaches or our parents, always tell us that.
Yeah.
And I didn't really realize that because I was stubborn. And I know you are too. And so I got into this situation. I realized, the type of people I was putting myself around and the situations I was putting myself into, I was no better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's a very valid point. Once we got in here, all those people dropped off because they didn't have it in them. And the people that have stuck around or the people that we've come across now are all on the same wavelength.
Dude, to echo what you were saying, so when you surround yourself with people that maybe don't have good intentions or are on a good path, research has shown that groupthink sets in. It's like you all kind of start, sharing ideas and kind of moving as one. You get a big enough group, soon enough you guys are just going to kind of give up on bigger things. You're going to kind of take the easier road of temptations,
Right.
And so I think that's kind of where that comes in. But yeah, once we settle down with, our core group, our ride or dies, the true homies, it's like, we all want the best for one another and we're looking forward. So once you start kind of, assessing your potential, what kind of passions do I possess? Because if you're going to go back to work, especially in a situation like spinal cord injury or something where, life already kind of sucks.
Yeah, you're physically limited.
You're already dealing with plenty, outside of work. You want to do something that you're going to love and be passionate about. And it's something that, you should really, I think, be picky about. You should try and assess yourself and be like, what is it that I love and what is it that I want to do?
Yeah. I 100% agree. I always tell everybody when you decide to pursue something you're passionate about, when your alarm clock, goes off and you're still hitting snooze, that you're not passionate about it. Your job's got to feel like, and we're not always this fortunate, but maybe we were put in a situation for us to be this fortunate where we could take a step back and we could pick something that we really like instead of going after something that we know just we need to do this to, pay the bills,
Yeah.
There's a give and take there, so finding that balance and finding something you're passionate about is something that when you wake up, you're just excited to go for it.
And when you finally have that realization, you're like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm good at. And this is what I'm passionate about. It's time to plan. Okay. You got to throw that up there. Plan. All right. So now is when you kind of start brainstorming a strategy. What is like the path to this career? Okay. And what does a career look like, in this profession? Like for me, I wanted to get into marketing. Okay. What is the path to marketing and what does my career look like there? And what are my goals with this?
Absolutely.
I think goal setting is a big part of planning. and kind of, I think, even put it on paper, or write it down on your, on an iPad, or if you need someone to help you out, get them to do that. But really just start brainstorming a path here and like kind of setting it up like, okay, if I want to get to this level, what do I need?
Right.
Okay. And to get to that level, does something else need to happen in order, to take the next step? So that planning process is something pretty big. And I can say for myself, for me, finding out that, I had a really big passion for creative and marketing. And I was, from my film background and just being the visual person that I was, like being a movie lover. And, I always had these ideas that I wanted to put into action in order to, help sell things, because I had that sales background as well. Yeah. And so like putting all these things together, it's like, okay, if I want to get there, what do I need? And for me, I had to go back to school. Right. And in order to go back to school, getting an MBA in marketing and or entrepreneurship, I was like, all right, now I also have to take this test to get to there. And once I do take that test, I have to have, X, and what schools do I want to go to if I want to get, into these companies. And this is where the planning comes in. Yeah. Right?
I don't want you to scare people though. And I think what I mean by that is sometimes when we start to plan things out, we start to get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I go to school for 6 years. How am I going to afford that? How am I going to do this, that, and the other?
No.
I read this book called The Compound Effect. Mm-hmm. And in the book, they had this story about if I gave you $1 million at the end of the month, or if I gave you a penny and we doubled it every day, which one would you choose? And the easiest pennies, well, I'll take the $1 million at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Long story short is those pennies end up equaling almost like $11 million at the end of the month. Over time, okay. Right? So just start dropping pennies in the bucket. Make your plan, but don't think you have to, accomplish in 6 months. Timelines are the devil in this situation. So just make a plan. What I usually do, I love writing as well, is I make weekly plans as well as long-term plans. So I love checking things off. And as long as I'm dropping pennies in the bucket every day, I feel accomplished.
Big goals are accomplished in small steps.
Exactly.
So break them down into baby steps,
There you go.
It's good to have big goals, but you don't have to have it figured out right away, and you're not going to.
No.
And know that big goals also shift and change. The career path that you choose on paper maybe and probably won't be the one that you end up with,
which isn't a bad thing.
It's definitely not. It's about being amenable to these things, and being able to bob and weave and roll with the punches. I mean, that's kind of what we've learned from our situations, having to roll with it. If you want to,
flexibility has been key.
With us, absolutely.
For sure. And what I mean by that is we're so routine now, just with our daily care, that if we learn if one thing doesn't go right, somebody's late, all of a sudden our whole schedule gets bumped, right? So we've learned just to be more flexible, because if we're so rigid, we'd just be irritable the whole entire day.
Yeah.
So we've learned to kind of bob and weave here and there. Also, too, we've learned to never say no to any opportunity that presents itself. I think that's very key, too. As you're planning, things are going to come up. Always say yes, even if you tell yourself, man, I don't really want to go to this event. I don't want to network. I don't want to do that. I'm telling you, there's been more times than not, I've been like, all right, I'll just go. And then boom, I've had a fantastic night and I met somebody I needed to meet.
Yeah, comfort zones are the death of potential. So if it's something you don't think you can do, try it. Worst thing is that you can fail, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just learn one way you can't do it. You got to put yourself into that action,
100%.
And learn from it. Learning from that experience. And that was one thing I didn't do. I was so, I think, just insecure in my ways that, I was afraid to fail in front of people because, deep down I was like, oh, I kind of feel like a failure, but I don't want people to realize that. Yeah. And so it's like I always had this idea of perfection, which is total bullshit.
Yeah.
But being able to put yourself out there, and the more you do, you numb yourself to that feeling in a good way, and you just start breaking down those barriers that you've built up around yourself. And just, taking those plans and starting to put them into action is, I think, what takes us to the next step. So when you go from planning to preparation.
Ooh, love it.
Right?
This is probably something I'm the worst at. I'm 100% a procrastinator. Mm-hmm. I'm 100%, my dad calls me last minute Charlie. Because I think this is where we're different, actually, is where I'm more of like spur of the moment. I like to just be in the mood, like, all right, hit me with it, let's go. where you're all about the fine details of a situation. You like to have things planned out, you know?
Yeah.
Which is something I appreciate from you, especially when we do the podcast and other things, is that you have things prepared where I'm just like, throw it at me, I'll go for it, which works sometimes, but there are times where, example of this for me is like, you know, certain auditions. You know, if I had just read a little bit about the role, watched a couple of the TV shows, being a little bit more prepared, I could have been more into it. You know, but there's part of me that's like, oh, I don't want to be so rigid when I go up there. I want to be Sonny. But, you know, and the more I read about actors that really, they dive into the roles. You know, they dress that part for months before they have the audition and things like that. So it's definitely something I need to work on.
I think being the natural salesman that we are, being able to shoot from the hip.
I like to wing it.
It's who we are.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, professional bullshitters, honestly.
Right.
I mean, if we're not kidding anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, I do like to have things at least thought out before.
Yes.
You know, whether I you know, can shoot from the hip on it or not. The organization part is where I struggle, you know, in my preparation. You know, I'll start a task. But that's the thing where you know, you could really start attacking. Yeah. You know, if it's not a strength, have someone else like help you out with it. You know, like only rely on your core competency. I wouldn't say only rely, but stick to your core competency and then outsource the help that you need.
Right.
You know, I think that's like where organizations and individuals kind of lose out sometimes, is trying to be too much, or, you know, be too many things to too many people.
Yeah, wear too many hats. Yeah.
Stick to what you're good at. You
Absolutely,
know?
yeah.
And so in preparation, it's really putting that planning into action. So this is kind of like where I had my plans of wanting to get into so-and-so industry, and then finally being like, okay, I need to sign up for this test if I want to apply. And then I have to actually do the applications, and then you actually have to go to school. And then when you're in school, what courses do I need to take, you know, to actually prepare myself for the career that I want?
This is what I think is really good about this for us. Is this is where insecurity works good for us.
Yeah.
Is finding a way to be accountable. You know, posting about it, put it out there for everybody to know.
Straight up.
You know what I mean? Like, if I put it out there and then I
real.
don't do this, I'm going to, you know, this is where insecurities work in our favor. But find a way to be accountable, whether that's a timeline you set, whether that you tell a friend that you know is going to get on your ass if you don't do it. But find a way in your preparation to be somewhat accountable for it, and that will kind of help you light a fire when you need it.
Okay, man. So I got one for you. So we're both, you know, into the Mamba mentality.
Absolutely.
And so as far as accountability, I have on my desk a picture of Kobe with, I think, probably the best quote. It's actually a Bible verse about holding yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Corinthians 9:27. It's, I beat my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified for the prize. You know what I mean? It's all about, like, you're going to put in the work.
Yeah.
And you're going to show people and lead by example that I deserve this shit, that I put in that work, and I'm going to hold myself accountable for the words I put out there.
Yeah.
If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
Right.
You know, and I try and remind myself that every day with that picture.
And I think our situations hold us credible. You know what I mean? It's like we're not sitting behind this camera right now and just blowing smoke. Like, people who know us know how hard we work each and every day. And that's not a humble brag. That's just reality, right? You know, so if you're going to prepare yourself for something, find a way to make yourself accountable. You know, Bible verses, pictures, a friend, posting it where somebody, like, you know, people are going to see it. So, you know, in 6 months, if you haven't done anything with it, you just look like a total fake Fugazi person. Like, find a way.
Yeah. Reminders on your phone.
Yeah.
What, every 3 months? Like, have you done this? Have you done this? And if
it eats at you.
It eats at you.
It
You're
eats
like,
at you. Yeah.
All right, like, go away.
Yeah.
You know, you want to, but then, like, hey, put a Post-it up on the outside of your computer screen.
Right.
You know, or like, dang, man, put one on the TV screen. You can't take it off until you.
It used to eat me up when
you know?
I'd be somewhere and I told somebody about an idea I had, and then I'd run into them 6 months later and I'm like, hey, whatever happened with that? And you just feel that feeling in your stomach.
Yeah.
Like that disappointment in yourself, you know? So then you come up with like a random excuse, but you just can't get it off your mind the rest of the night, you know? So that's definitely, to me, that's the key to victory too, is just finding that little bit of accountability there.
Yeah, for sure. And the next step is absolutely leverage your strengths. Leverage. Okay. And, you know, going back to the Strengths Finder, figure out what you're made of. What can you do now? Okay. For me, like, obviously it's not going to be running around lifting things, and so probably not
Karate
construction,
chopping people like you were before. Yeah.
But yeah, and I
using
like,
chopsticks.
when I got into
fork,
grad
knife,
school, chopsticks,
Yeah, cup. Yeah,
for sure.
All right. Anyways. I'm done.
I'd actually use the chopsticks. Like I'd make fangs and
Oh, okay.
do the walrus.
Yeah, that's pretty good actually.
Yeah,
Good for you.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, we love these tangents.
What an asshole.
Yeah, what a jerk.
Yeah.
No, leverage those strengths. Like when I got into grad school, I was so insecure. I figured, okay, I am surrounded by nerds, for lack of a better word, people that are ready to like that. They've been bookworms before this. They had planned on grad school. They were taking the next step in like finance or something like, that I wasn't like ready to be a part of or wanting to. But once I got there, I was like, okay, man. I started looking around, and my strength climbed like to the front of my face. I swear, I remember this moment, like being in class, feeling insecure about like having to have someone raise their hands that I can answer.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? These are all my enemies now. Not my enemies, but my competition.
Yeah.
And that's where that like competitive energy came in. And then being able to like garner that and just use it for my benefit, because I wasn't going to let my situation hold me back and accept less. I'm like, well, dude, if I can get through grad school with like, geez, I guess you have to have like a B- average, I could try and do that. But no, it's like, I'm going to beat you, even though my situation's harder than what you're probably going through or doing. I'm going to excel, and I'm going to beat you. So I would take that competitive strength and then use my like leadership and like communication skills to be like the go-to, like the quarterback of, all the group projects that I'd have to do, and kind of take point and start building a reputation for myself, that really I think enhanced my entire experience in grad school. And then now, taking all those things through my career, it'll grow, it'll evolve, but being able to leverage those strengths is something that's super important.
Absolutely.
And so tell me a little bit about yours. I know like you got the gift of gab.
Right.
I mean, super easy to like take advantage of, public speaking. Tell me a little bit about, some of the things you're doing.
So with the gift of the gab, what I've learned, and this is funny, is to listen more and be more, ask more questions. Mm-hmm. Closed mouths don't get fed. So when I'm around somebody that I know I can learn something from, whether it be speaking, acting, coaching, anything I'm doing right now, I ask them a ton of questions, and I'll even throw in their hand, I'm sorry if I'm bugging you, but there's something about learning from other people that I like. It's like a spidey sense that has been enhanced since I got hurt. I just realized there's nothing more informative. I could read a book, I could watch a documentary, I could do this, that, or the other. But when you're in a spot where you can ask somebody who's doing something you want to do, that you're interested in, ask them a question. Machine gun them. Learn as much as you can from those people, because they're obviously doing what you want to do. And there's always parts and tidbits that I take and I put in my weaponry. Yeah,
I love that. And there's so much we can talk about there on the next step too.
Okay.
Just
I'm excited now.
Yeah, you are. It's like if you're a super like focused, organized, attention to detail kind of person, like, take the project management role, like be that person that can really help facilitate a project, or whatever it is that, whatever industry you're in, whatever, professional setting you're in, see what, you could bring to the table to best benefit, the organization, the group, yourself. Always look at it from that vantage point of like, okay, how can I leverage what strengths I possess to best benefit the big picture?
And there's nothing wrong with being assertive.
No.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes we need leaders, sometimes we need, more Indians rather than chiefs, but find your spot, be assertive, especially if that's one of your strengths. Absolutely.
And when you're doing this, you're going to start finding success and you're going to find some failure, but that failure better not hold you back, because you better keep pushing, because perseverance is a big part of everything. When you're going back to work,
that was a tough couple P words. Yeah. Solid delivery though.
Porky pig here.
Getting solid,
staying strong and being able to roll with the punches is a big part of this whole thing. From sucks ass to success is not easy.
Not at all.
It's not an easy thing, and
but if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Exactly. And it's something that I think definitely will garner some respect. I definitely feel like, with that, a humble brag or whatever you want to call it, it's like I feel like I've garnered respect from my ability to take these BS situations and the pain and the difficulty that I deal with, but being able to like leverage that, you know, turn that adversity into an advantage.
There it
every
is.
time, you know?
There it is.
Gotta throw it out there.
Your slogan.
My slogan, Marty O'Connor.
There it is.
Turn your adversity into your advantage.
Hey.
Yeah, but that's really like, I'd like to say it's my brand because that's what I'm all about now. That's like what has allowed me to go from sucks ass to, you know, success.
But you're not just all talk. You're also roll. You know what I mean? Some people are all talk and no walk. Mm-hmm. But I mean,
that's where the accountability comes in.
You're all talk and all rolled. You know what I mean?
All roll, yeah.
All roll, baby.
You were ready to say walk, weren't you?
No, I was going to,
yeah. It's okay.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I said that.
Sorry, I'll lean with it.
Yeah.
Lean with it. Anyways, don't mind us. We do this from time to time.
We're just having fun today.
Okay? Yeah, just
fun today.
Okay. You're gonna kick some ass leveraging those strengths, right? Okay, but do not get complacent here because this is like you'll be finding growth, but then you may plateau.
Yeah.
Every individual organization, they'll hit a plateau. And the next step is super important to being able to have some longevity in your career and being able to continue to grow and kick some ass. And that is the yearn to learn.
I love this one.
Like that.
Yearn
to learn.
Yearn.
If you're not learning, you're losing, man.
That's true.
I swear. It like you may be on a path, you may be super smart, but if you're not looking at the trends, where things are going and studying up on that, reading a book to get yourself, like more prepared, put more weapons in the arsenal, you're doing yourself a disservice.
My whole life, I was never a huge book reader. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It wasn't something I just couldn't find time to wind the batteries down and really read. Yeah. But a habit I developed though is when I find a real interesting book is I just crush one chapter a night. And the reason I do that is because I felt like the book could be great and I'd want to go through 3 or 4 chapters, but I felt like I'd only remember certain things. But when I just focused on one chapter, 20, 30 pages, I felt like I really retained that information a lot more.
For sure.
And I'd even kind of keep notes or highlight some of that stuff too. But reading though, and this is really hard I felt like it just kind of happened when I got a little bit older, like around 30. But putting my phone away, turning the TV off, turning on a fountain, turning on some white noise and reading, it really like stimulate things I didn't even know I had.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that your mind, like it needs to be fed too.
Yeah.
It really does. That's like the whole reason I wanted to go back to work. I needed that intellectual stimulation.
Right.
You get complacent over time when you are doing the same, repetitious thing.
Groundhog's Day.
Yeah, exactly. So always be learning, and that'll help take you to the next level. You want to graduate, you want to get promoted, you got to put those weapons in your arsenal.
Yes.
You got to read and, find a mentor that can help you get there too. I think every person should have both a mentor and a protege. Hit me with it.
So while I was at the Goodwill Fitness Center doing that job, right?
Yep.
I met a guy who had a disease where his eyesight was deteriorating year by year.
Oh wow!
And eventually became fully blind. And he had Goodwill Fitness Center they brought in. Oh, I'm sorry. What's the real name?
Well,
did they change it again?
It's going to be changing, unfortunately.
Okay.
I think there's been a change in ownership, but the Rogers A. Severson Fitness and Technology Center of Orange County.
So they brought in a group of blind people with their dogs, and I struck up a conversation with this guy. And he was actually a professor at Mitcham B University, which is optometry school, and a PA school. And he was a paid speaker for that school to go around and talk about what the school does and how important optometry was. Yeah. And who's better to speak about something like that than somebody that's blind?
Oh my gosh.
We got into these conversations and he invited me to his class every now and then because as he talked about his disability, he wanted me to kind of give them, the proper protocol to approach somebody in a wheelchair. And we would have these really in-depth conversations, and he was telling me the gratification he got from it, but also he was telling me the kind of money he was making.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this could be very interesting.
Yeah.
And I used to sit in his office. I'd make weekly or monthly appointments, go down there and just, talk to him about, strategy. And because at first when I would speak, I'd be too positive. If that's your thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I got this, that. And he's like, you have to build empathy in your speeches or people won't connect with you.
Right.
And he showed me how to structure a speech and how to time your slides. And that's how you kind of keep your thoughts concise and together. Mm-hmm. But I found me like kind of a sensei. You know, so if you're going through, maybe you want to be a realtor, or you want to be a trainer, you want to be this, that, or the other. Maybe you have a family friend, you know, maybe you have a cousin, somebody in the field, you know, especially with social media and our networking nowadays. I'm sure you can find somebody, and it's so easy to DM them, to text them, to be, hey, do you have a moment? But make that call, make that, you know, your purpose, and I guarantee you'll find your way sooner than later.
Cannot emphasize enough how critical networking is.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? You've probably heard it's not what you know, but who you know.
Yes.
It's the annoying fact of life, because it's so true in so many cases. You know, you could have the greatest skill set in the world, and if someone maybe is just a little bit behind you, but they have a trust and a bond with the person making the decision to see who gets to play, probably going with the other person.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, you know, networking is critical. So if you're getting into a new industry or trying to grow within an industry or whatever, reach out to people. Get on LinkedIn. You know, seek out people that, you know, could maybe benefit you, that you also could benefit. It's always think about being mutually beneficial, because if you're just, you know, like take and trying to, you know, just ask people for help, that well is going to run dry soon. You know, you got to be able to like reciprocate a little bit there. But you know, the fact of the matter is you need to reach out and grow that network, because you never know where your path is going to take you. You know, I don't think there's, as an individual, I don't feel like I have total control of my path. I know that, you know, there's a path ahead of me that I already have laid out for me, and that, you know, I'm going to figure it out along the way, but someone else knew about it before. And, you know, network along the way, because you never know who you're going to come across that's going to be able to help you later. Or who you're going to be able to help later, you know, and make a profound difference in their life. Just, you know, growing a community is so important professionally, so something definitely to take into account.
Yeah, and I want to close on this thought for myself, but just like you said it, I think the hardest part for us was there wasn't somebody we could look at when we first got hurt and be like, that guy did it. We're just going to follow that.
Right.
You know what I mean? We had to kind of carve out our own path here, but there was something about that struggle, that pain, that misery, and getting through that is so much more gratifying than me just copying somebody else. You know, and your path, you know, may be similar to somebody else's, but it's your path, you know? So don't be discouraged. You know, go out there, get your fillers out there, network, feel the yearn to learn, plan, apply, figure this out. You know what I mean? Really get behind this episode, you know, because this, I'm telling you right now, I know we're all quarantined and everything feels slow and we're not going anywhere. Once this is over, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be an explosion of opportunities out there.
Love it, man. Look, even the aspiring architect couldn't find the blueprint. You got to make your own, right? Get out there, apply yourself. You know, if you want to bounce any ideas off us, you know, feel free. We're here to communicate with you guys. We are here for the wheel world. You know what I mean?
Just keeping it wheel.
And if you guys have, you know, some situations that you've overcome and you've gone from sucks ass to success, I want to hear those stories. I want to share those stories. We want to have you on here and feature you. There are so many warriors out there that, you know, their stories deserve to be heard, and I think it'll inspire others as well. You know, we're here week to week trying to help you guys and, you know, learn from, you know, our experiences, but, you know, so many people could benefit from your experiences out there. So please reach out to us, DM, email, you know, we're here for you guys. So we love you.
As always.
And we'll be back next week. We'll talk to you guys later.